Hey, how you doing? My name is Eric. Welcome to the channel. If this is your first time and you are interested in more long COVID videos that may come out in the future, definitely consider subscribing. I do believe that these videos have an impact, and the more we can get it out to people who are looking for it, the better, the more hope we can spread. So today we're going to just talk about my 1 year as a long hauler from COVID-19. Today is November 7th, so this is the day, 1 year to the day that I got infected with COVID. So just kind of a recap how I'm doing, and we are going to get into the details in just a minute. Alright guys, so just a quick recap of what's happened the past 12 months. This has been a ever-changing sickness for me, like a lot of you out there who have probably experienced a lot of your symptoms changing like mine. Initially, when I first got sick in 2020, November, I was at a wedding, I got sick. 2 weeks later, my wife and I did all the quarantining things. She got better, I didn't. And it just kind of cascaded into all these different ailments. So one would be shortness of breath. That was probably the worst one in the beginning. I had incredible shortness of breath to the point where I couldn't breathe without intentionally thinking about it for probably 2 months straight, nonstop. It didn't matter whether I was exerting myself or laying in bed. It was just constantly short of breath. So that was pretty miserable. Combated that a lot with like prednisone and things like that. That helped quite a bit lower the inflammation in my lungs. But in addition to the shortness of breath, I had a little bit of tachycardia. Thankfully, went away pretty quickly, maybe within a month or two. I did have a little bit of fatigue back then, but nowhere near what I had since in months after that. I had a little bit of brain fog, again, nowhere near what I'd had in the months that would follow. I had some chest pain, some inflammation of the chest, which was pretty severe. I also had neuropathy throughout my chest, which was very, very painful. Felt like poison was kind of just injected into my body, and just it was not a fun experience. So that was, I believe, mainly what I would deal with on a day-to-day. I might be missing something. It's been a year. But like I said, these symptoms have progressed. Some have waxed and waned. Some have changed completely. So hopefully, if I'm not lazy, I'm going to throw up a diagram that kind of shows you how I see my 12 months. And, I see the first 5 from November to March, April time, so 5 or 6 months or so, were pretty much just miserable. I had no progression, or I wasn't getting any better at all. It was just pure misery for those few months. And that's when I got my vaccine. I got my vaccines in March and April. And, that it didn't seem to cure me like I was, there's a lot of people spreading word of it curing long haulers, which if it does for you, I'm very glad. It didn't cure me. I didn't quite really think it would, but it was always a hope. But I do believe it kind of kickstarted my recovery. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I believe the vaccines, I got Moderna, and you can see these past videos on the channel if you're interested. I've got after the first vaccine, after the second vaccine dose, and kind of my reaction. You can watch those videos. And so I would say those first 6 months, miserable, get my vaccines, start healing. And then I had about a 1 or 2 month period where I felt like I had more bad days than good, but I was starting to get those better days where I would feel halfway normal again. It was a relief just to have that, just to have a break from constant symptoms. So it was a very hopeful time. I believe that's right when I started doing my YouTube videos for long COVID. So if you've been around a while, keeping track, that's kind of where you and I picked up with each other. So other than that, I would say the next stage of healing was probably another month or so, month or two. And I would say I had half good days, half bad days. but it was progress, and that's really all I can ask for and hope for. So, symptoms would ease up. Another symptom would tend to go away. I really don't have dates on how long certain symptoms lasted. I don't have dates on when certain symptoms came to be, because I definitely have some that weren't there when I started. So somewhere around the 9-10 month mark, maybe another month or two, I started to have more good days than bad, which was fantastic. And I really can't express the level of joy and happiness that I had actually being able to do a lot of the things that we used to be able to do but couldn't do for so long. And so it's like coming back to life, literally. And so that's kind of where I've been the past few months. Within this 12-month period, I've had symptoms like the ones I mentioned earlier. I've had the emergence of more fatigue over the past 12 months. Fatigue is one that's lingered with me. But like I said, more good days than bad. I feel my ability to do things growing. I seem to bounce back quicker than I used to. Every few months, I feel like when I do relapse or crash, I am able to come back just a little bit faster. And like I said, all I'm looking for is progress. So fatigue's been a big one. Past 3-4 months, I've had a little bit of what I can only describe as a weakness in the legs. It's a little bit in the lower back. It's definitely a nerve thing. There's nothing wrong with my legs. I can still walk and run, and I haven't run in 12 months, but I can still walk and do all the things I have to with my legs. It just, they feel weak, or it's very hard to describe, but that's the best way I can put it, is weakness. Very uncomfortable, very, very uncomfortable. Been one of my least favorite symptoms. One of the symptoms that I've had recently still, or really throughout the whole journey, is chest pain. Not the neuropathy, but more of like the inflammation-based chest pain. Much lower level than it used to be. I really, it was bad in the beginning, but nowadays it's more of an annoyance. But I can still feel it sometimes. Don't feel it today. Like I said, more good days than bad. But I believe it's getting better. I no longer have tachycardia. For a good 4 or 5 months, I had some pretty severe brain fog, where some points in the day it would get so bad where I was just shut down. I couldn't focus. I couldn't answer any kind of question that you'd ask me. There's no critical thinking involved. If you were to ask me where we keep the spoons in the house, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. That's how debilitated my brain fog was. But it would only usually last a few hours, and I'd take a nap and usually feel pretty much 100% brain fog wise when I woke up. I had a few episodes of that. Haven't had it in quite a while, many months. But I do, so most of my brain fog or mental symptoms have gone away. The only thing I really notice now is sometimes I feel like I'm missing something. If I'm watching a movie, I just feel like I'm missing part of the plot line. Slightly confused, but it's really not that bad at all. And I might have a little bit less patience than I used to. I get a little overwhelmed, but for the most part, it's really not bad at all. Nothing to complain about. I still have some shortness of breath, but yeah, those are, I believe, most of the symptoms I've had. Right now I'm dealing with mostly fatigue. I'm not able to do as much as I could beforehand, but I'm definitely getting better. And this whole 12 months, I want to make the disclaimer, there's been no exercise. Most exercises I've done is like going for a walk with my wife, or taking the dogs for a walk, or I've been doing some painting. We did some painting today, and it really kicks my butt, I should say, but I get through it. I'm able to still make a video, maybe lay down for an hour or two afterwards, and I'm all right. So it's getting better. I do plan in the next maybe 3-6 months to really very slowly start introducing some light exercise, like hilariously small exercise, and just build up from there. So Um, yeah, like I said, if you've seen some of the videos in the past, I believe this to be more of like a chronic fatigue syndrome, just caused by COVID. So the graded exercise is a very scary topic, but I believe I'm going to start implementing it when my body feels like it can, not try and push too far outside of my baseline, and go from there. So guys, those are my symptoms. I do want to get into a little bit about what's helped me in my 12-month journey of getting better, because I do believe I have a partial recovery. There's a lot of people who are far worse than myself who've had long COVID longer than I have, but luckily for me, I've been able to progress and get a little bit better. And so hopefully what's helped me can help you. And I do, if you are interested, I go into a little bit of detail on a few of these. In a video, I will hopefully remember to link, I believe it's up here, tips and tricks for long COVID, and check it out if you're interested. But I believe, first off, you have to find a baseline, and basically to keep your nervous system as calm as possible without the boom and bust cycle of symptoms and the over exaggeration or over energizing of your nervous system. And when you find that baseline, I think a lot of it has to do with, I think some of it has to do with diet, just eating right. You know what's good for you, you know what's not. If there's high inflammatory foods, avoid those, like red meat is one that I've not had a lot of the past 12 months. Sugars, you know what to do. Eat right, cut the sugar out. But once you have this baseline and you aren't in the constant boom and bust, and you can kind of keep your nervous system level, a lot of things have helped me. One being meditation, probably one of the bigger ones. Meditation is one I don't do enough, but every time I do, I feel like I have some kind of benefit from it. And so meditation, I would really look into it. It's not something I ever did before I was sick, but I can't recommend it enough. Definitely helps calm the nervous system. In addition to that, breath work, things like pacing, and I think just being, I've heard it described this way, just being selfish. I myself have been lucky enough to lean on my wife around the house, and she's been an absolute saint to pick up where I just can't do as much. And we all feel guilty, but just being selfish and not pushing it when you know you really can't. Because I think a lot of us are probably to the point where we can do some things, but we're going to pay for it later. Just knowing not to and leaning on those who are there to support you is a big deal. So, and then, I think really one of the bigger things that's helped would be, once you have this baseline, you're doing the right things, doing it for long enough. If you are doing things that's actively hindering your body from healing, you're not going to get anywhere. So finding that baseline, sticking to it, finding what's working for you. Not everything works for everybody, and giving it the time, an adult time frame to let your body heal. And this could be months. For me, it's still been a year and I'm not there yet. But we're always moving forward. So guys, I hope this has helped. I believe, like I said, today is November 7th, 1 year to the day that I got sick. And by the time this comes out, I believe I had an interview with Raylan Eagle on her channel, and just kind of going through very similar stuff. If you're interested, her channel, if nothing else, you don't have to watch my video because it's a lot of the same information here, but go watch her channel, watch a lot of the success stories, the recovery stories, and really, really hold on to that, because the hope that her channel brings is immense. That's where I would go in my dark times when I was in a crash and felt horrible. The hope really, really can push you through it. So guys, I hope this has been a benefit to you, and if you can like or share or subscribe, anywhere you can get this information out to more people, it is appreciated. And yeah, have a good one.